Imagine being deep in the wilderness. No electricity, no gas, no fancy kitchen, just you, the forest, and whatever tools you can craft with your own hands. Now picture this. Even in that raw environment, you're able to bake a hot, juicy, smoky piece of meat, cooked all the way through like it came from a real wood-fired oven. Sounds impossible? Well, Greg Ovens, a master of bushcraft techniques, has perfected this art. His unique rock ovens made from natural materials like stones and clay are masterpieces of primitive engineering. Let's explore how you can build your own rock oven using similar methods that Greg teaches in his bushcraft videos. Then keep watching, because in this video I'm going to show you step by step how to build a Rock Mountain bushcraft oven, a survival oven that actually works. This isn't some camera trick or just for aesthetics. I built it, I cooked with it, and you'll see the results. If you think bushcraft is just sitting around a fire with a knife in your pocket, you're about to see a whole new level of self-reliance. Let's start with why a stone oven like this is so valuable in a real survival scenario. While most people rely on open fires that waste heat, burn through wood too fast, and give off light visible from miles away, a properly built bushcraft oven is the opposite. It's low profile, fuel efficient, and heat retaining. That means you conserve resources, stay discreet, and cook better. Whether you're roasting meat, baking root vegetables, or even trying to dry food for storage, this oven handles it. I didn't build this for fun. I built it because in the wild, your ability to cook can determine your ability to survive. When calories are scarce, wasting food by undercooking it is not an option. Cooking food thoroughly also prevents disease. A survival oven is more than a luxury. It's a strategic advantage. Now, before I show you the full process, here's what you need to know. I didn't use a single nail, no cement, no glue, just rocks, clay, water, and fire. That's it. And the key is not just stacking rocks randomly. There's a specific shape, airflow design, and layering process that makes it truly functional. If you skip any of these steps, your oven might collapse. Or worse, never get hot enough to cook anything. But if you follow along, I'll guide you through the exact method I used to build an oven that reached temperatures over 400 degrees Fahrenheit and stayed hot for hours. That level of heat allows you to cook meals that taste like home, even in the middle of nowhere. Here's what I started with. A flat area with good access to clay-rich soil, small and medium-sized stones, and plenty of firewood. Step 1 is creating the foundation base, a shallow pit that holds heat and prevents your structure from shifting. I dug it about 12 inches deep and lined the bottom with medium-sized rocks. These serve as thermal mass, meaning they absorb heat and release it slowly, a crucial factor for even cooking. Next, I built a semicircle wall around it using large stones, stacking them carefully and using wet clay as mortar. This creates the oven's internal chamber. Think of it like the belly of a beast, where all the magic happens. Then came the airflow tunnel. Without proper airflow, your fire suffocates. I used flat rocks to create a tunnel from the side of the structure, directing air right into the base of the oven. This allows oxygen to feed the flames naturally, making the fire burn hotter and more consistently. And believe me, you can feel the difference in heat within minutes. The airflow isn't just survival science, it's ancient engineering, used by indigenous cultures long before modern stoves existed. It's the same principle used in earth ovens by Native American tribes and mountain settlers. Understanding this airflow system gives you access to fire control without electricity or modern tools. Next up, the oven dome. I used large flat rocks to form an arch over the cooking chamber, locking them in place with clay and smaller stones. This is where many people fail. The dome has to be solid enough to retain heat, but not so heavy that it collapses in on itself. I built it slowly, layer by layer, letting each coat of clay dry before moving on. By the end, I had a sealed dome with a vent chimney carved through the top, a natural exhaust that draws smoke out and keeps the fire breathing. It took hours, but once it cured, I lit the fire. Here's a powerful survival tip. When the fire burns down to coals, the oven walls stay hot for hours. You can use that stored heat to slow cook food, bake bread, or sterilize water containers. That's right, I even used this oven to boil river water in clay pots. The heat distribution is so even that I didn't have to rotate the containers or adjust the position. The rocks did all the work. That's the magic of thermal mass in bushcraft ovens. They become natural batteries for heat. In cold climates, this can even double as a heat source for your shelter if built smartly and safely. And here's the moment of truth. Within 30 minutes, the inside of that oven was glowing. I tossed in some chicken legs wrapped in wild herbs and sealed the front with a large stone slab. 1 hour later I pulled them out, perfectly cooked, juicy, with a wood-smoked flavor that no campfire could ever deliver. That's when it hit me. This survival oven actually works, and it works better than some modern grills I've used back home. No electricity, no fuel, just nature and know-how. I went further. The next day I tried baking bread. I mixed wild flour, made from crushed acorns and cattail roots, with water and a pinch of salt I had preserved from a previous trip, rolled it into flat loaves and let the oven do its thing. 40 minutes later, hot, dense, perfectly baked bushcraft bread. The smell, insane. The taste, earthy, smoky, rich. This oven proved it could go beyond survival and bring a little comfort, a taste of civilization, into the harshest environment. Let's talk durability. I left the oven in place for a full season, through rain, wind, and even snow. It held up. Why? Because I didn't rush the build. The key is in layering and drying. Each clay coat must be dried before adding the next. I also reinforced the dome with a mix of crushed charcoal and clay, which makes the shell more resistant to cracking. This technique comes from ancient Japanese earthen kilns, and it adds structural integrity without extra weight. It's these small touches that make the difference between a gimmick and a serious survival tool. Why is this important? Because in a true survival situation, whether you're off-grid, escaping chaos, or just preparing for the worst, having the ability to cook real food means more than just nutrition. It's about morale. It's about stability. It's about reclaiming control when everything else feels lost. When you build something with your own hands and it works, it gives you confidence. And confidence is just as important as food in a survival scenario, especially if you're responsible for others, family, friends, your tribe. The ability to provide hot food is a source of leadership and trust. And let me be clear, you don't have to be a bushcraft expert to build this. You don't need fancy gear or years of practice. You just need patience, the right natural materials, and this guide. Take your time, scout your area, test your clay, practice your stone placement, and always respect the fire. Start small if you need to. Even a mini version of this oven can change your entire bushcraft cooking experience. So if you're serious about survival, if you're tired of just watching and want to start doing, then take this build as your first challenge. Go out there, find your materials, and make it happen. Because trust me, the day may come when your life, or someone else's, depends on the skills you learn today. A warm meal in the cold can be the difference between giving up and going on, between fear and confidence, between surviving and thriving. If this video inspired you, smash that like button, and share it with someone who's serious about preparedness. And don't forget to subscribe, because I've got more real-world bushcraft builds coming, from underground shelters to smoke-free fire pits, to water filtration systems using just rocks and sand. But more importantly, drop a comment below and tell me what you would cook in your own Rock Mountain bushcraft oven. I read every comment, and who knows, your suggestion might be the next test recipe I try right here in the wild. Until then, stay sharp, stay resourceful, and remember, comfort in the wild is not a luxury, it's a skill. Until then, stay sharp, stay prepared, and never stop building.